You're listening to Be Well by Kelly Leveque. Hey friends, welcome back to my second solo episode. In today's episode, I'm going to answer your questions around what my morning routine is, my movement routine, the supplements I love, and how I'm supporting all of my body composition changes with my nutrition. So let's jump right in. Thank you so much for submitting your questions. I post in my Instagram stories a link that you can use to leave audio questions for me, and I love to hear them and answer them on these solo episodes. So look out for those and check the show notes for that link as well. If you have a burning question, I want to make sure that it gets answered. Also, don't forget to subscribe to this channel. I'm going to start doing more and more solo short episodes to answer your questions and support you guys at home. So let's jump right in.
Hi there. I was wondering if you have a collagen supplement that you recommend.
So since coming out with my beef protein, which is the Be Well by Kelly grass-fed beef isolate, I don't take collagen anymore. And that's because there are over 10 and on average 16 grams of naturally occurring collagen in that grass-fed beef isolate. And that is a part of my life so often that I don't feel called to have a collagen on board. Back in the day when I was having more plant-based proteins, I want to say, or maybe around the time of my first or second book, I did use Vital Proteins or Primal Kitchen Collagen, even sometimes Dr. Axe's brand, but I don't use it anymore knowing that I have that naturally occurring collagen in my protein powder, which is why sometimes you'll see notes on the website like, it sticks to the side of my blender, or it's gummy, or jelly. And that is because it is chock full of naturally occurring collagen. And there's not much I can do about it. And I'm not going to put an emulsifier or filler in there to change that consistency. We work through it with emulsifying fat in the smoothie. So whether you're adding avocado or a scoop of almond butter or peanut butter, that emulsification helps to sort of even out that sort of collagen side effects, which is like that, a little bit of like a jello consistency. I also love collagen-rich bone broths. So Fond is my favorite, especially this time of year. There are a number of really great frozen and shelf-stable bone broth brands, but their flavors are delicious. That's also another thing I will reach for if I've had a cup of coffee and I went for maybe that second, and then I'm like, ooh, Kelly, you're getting away from yourself here. I will take my bone broth, pour it in my mug, and steam it in my espresso maker. So I'll use that same whole thing, right? Work smarter, not harder, right? Heat that up, throw a little salt, squeeze of lemon, absolutely delicious. But a lot of those flavors are the best. And if there are brands that I've mentioned here and I have any type of affiliate discount for you, I will make sure that those are linked in these show notes. But that is one of my all-time favorites. I received a lot of questions around creatine. Is it safe for pregnant and postpartum individuals? Is it safe for women over 40, teens post-puberty? Is it safe while breastfeeding? And the most amazing part about creatine is that it's safe for all ages and has 0 to no side effects. And, some people will have, like I mentioned earlier, you may feel like your clothes are leaving lines on your skin for the first few weeks. Some people might notice some GI effects. I would say try different types of creatine. Make sure you're sourcing the highest quality creatine. Creatine is sourced all over the world. And I think I mentioned this on the first solo. China, India, Germany is the highest quality creatine that I found. All of the ingredients and chemicals that are put together to make the supplement creatine are all sourced in Germany. If you're using Allschem, and they're previously known for CreaPure. Crevitalis is their newest line, and it is even higher in testing, and it's micronized, so higher bioavailability, finer powder, easier to dissolve in something like a coffee or a water, and all of those things can decrease GI side effects. So I wish that I was taking this while prior to getting pregnant, while I was pregnant, while I was breastfeeding. It is naturally occurring in complete proteins, really rich in things like red meat, and it's a phenomenal way to recycle ADP and give you a fast source of energy. That's why it's known for helping you to be so explosive in the gym, to lift heavier, to go longer. But our muscles and the gym aren't the only times that we need energy, especially as a mom who's building a baby, who's leading up to labor. So definitely, please, if you are interested in learning more about creatine, go back to my episode with Abby Smith-Ryan. It is the 101 of creatine. She is a phenomenal researcher from Chapel Hill. She has been in this business and researching creatine for the longest time. And it just makes me even more excited to take it. So it is for everybody. And yeah, the benefits are just insane.
Can you recommend a supplement for managing hair loss or hair thinning, please?
Whew. So I had a major bout of hair loss postpartum with Julian. And it was about 18 months after delivering him. So right after I had Julian, when you are in you've just finished your pregnancy, you deliver your baby, your hair is thick and full and beautiful. You've been growing it all for 10 months and it's barely falling out and you're just feeling the glow, right? And then you go into postpartum. I took going into postpartum with Julian so seriously. I was having a half a pound of ground beef a day. I was having bone broth every single day. I was religious about my prenatal supplement from WeNatal. I was taking my omega-3s. I was getting outside in the morning light with him. We were using the red light panel together. I was all about it. And my sleep, obviously, in postpartum was not that great, but it was the fastest I had ever felt like myself again. I was convinced that hair loss in postpartum was because people were, this is going to sound horrible. I was convinced that my previous postpartum hair loss was because I wasn't being diligent with my nutrition and ensuring that I was getting enough of what I needed in that phase of life. So it changed everything in the way that I thought about postpartum. And it was a phenomenal experience. If you are going into that and you are worried about losing your hair and having it all fall out, I would say overdo the nutrition. I don't want to say overeat, but overeat the good things that your body needs. I was eating organ meats from Force of Nature. That ground beef most of the time was their ancestral blend, which blends in organ meats like liver and heart. So I was on it. Now, fast forward. This is the beautiful part about motherhood. Fast forward, and I was knocked on my butt. 18 months in, I wasn't being as diligent. I was back to work, working crazy, 3 boys, 6 and under, all in sports, crazy schedules, team members, life happened. And I fell back into the habit of getting busy, not preparing the way that I needed to prepare, not eating the way that I needed to eat, sometimes skipping breakfast. And my hair started falling out like crazy and my stress levels were out of control. And I went to my functional MD, Dr. Leveque in LA. Shout out to him. He is my original functional MD for myself personally and for my family. And I love him. And we did my blood work and he was like, hell, I do not know what's going on, but your thyroid's in the tank. Your cortisol is off the charts. And, your nutrients are in the tank again. And this is kind of what happens when we don't take care of ourselves and we overwork or stress out. And you say like, how do I stop stressing if I'm in this state of stressing out? And don't tell me not to stress because that makes it worse. And ultimately decided to put me on Nature's Thyroid, a low thyroid, natural thyroid, compounded thyroid medication for 6 months to get me to a place where I wasn't feeling exhausted, to stop the hair loss because the patches and baldness that was happening like around my hairline was embarrassing, to be quite frankly honest with you. And we did stop that in its track. And I saw that my iron was low. And so I started bringing on the spleen supplement, and I brought my iron levels back up. I got some more iron IVs, and you can learn more about iron in the first solo episode, brought that iron back on board, and got back to a place where my thyroid was functioning again. My cortisol was back on track, and that went back to going out in the morning light, being better about screens before bed, and really putting myself first, saying no to things, pulling back on my schedule, not being in a rush. And this happens to me every time I go back to work after having kids, is I really soak up all of the postpartum cuddles with my boys. And I just, I want to be home and nourishing them and making memories. And then at a certain point, the fears creep in. And I'm scared, like, oh no, I'm falling behind. The business is going to fall apart. How am I going to pay my employees? How are we going to make sure it's still going? And I go back in really hard. And it's a really hard habit to break. And I don't know that I'm going to have another kid. So I don't know that cycle will happen again, but it can happen to me throughout the year, not as exaggerated as when I take time off to be on maternity leave and come back. But if this is you, be aware of it, because there are supplements like Nutrafol and, you'll see the hair, skin, and nails at CVS. I don't think you need to get any of those. I think you need to look at your thyroid levels. I think you need to check your iron levels. You need to check your stress, and you need to make sure that you have the nutrients on board that your body needs to grow big, beautiful hair. And the thing that I will say that I did bring on board in that period of time that was supportive was the red light hat from Higher Dose. So it looks like a ball cap, and it's got red lights all inside of it. It's very easy to wear, easier than the face mask and any of the other red light panels, or for your neck or for your face. And it was really easy. I just throw it on and I'd work with it for 20 minutes. And it felt like it worked for me. And it all kind of came together for me with increasing my iron levels, increasing my nutrient levels, going back to eating more ancestral blend protein, the ground beef, and really trying to get my stress in check. So I don't want you to get sold on some supplement for managing hair loss and hair thinning. Instead, I want you to focus on getting a blood test and seeing where your levels are. Where are your nutrients? Where's your iron? Where's your thyroid? Where are your inflammatory markers? Maybe you're getting interleukin-6, C-reactive protein, homocysteine. Are those high? Are you taking a methylated B vitamin supplement? That would be my first approach to hair loss, because hair loss is your body screaming at you that something isn't going right, and just trying to take a hair loss supplement isn't going to mitigate that hair loss in the long run. And ultimately, my hope would be that you take a look under your own hood and check your hormone levels and your thyroid levels. My favorite way to do that is Function Health. I think it's so easy. There's an app. You get the membership, you get 2 blood draws a year. You can add on things like Gallery to check for, it's a blood biopsy for cancer. You can add on Ezra, an MRI scan if you want to do something like that. You can look for food allergies. You can look for all kinds of things. The add-on tests are endless. But if you just want the basics, you can get all of those markers that I just talked about with a Function membership. And that's what I got for my team at the end of last year for Christmas. It was a part of their gift. Get out there, take care of themselves. You guys should be taking care of yourselves too. So when it comes to hair loss, I think that understanding really what's going on in your body is more important than trying to Band-Aid that. But I have so much empathy for that, because it happened to me and it's not fun. But your hair will grow back if you get to the bottom of it. So check that out. All right, so let's answer a couple nutrition and metabolism questions.
Do you have any tips for bloating after meals?
If you are bloating after a meal, the first thing I would do would be to bring on an enzyme supplement prior to your meal, or hydrochloric acid. So I love Super Enzymes by Now Food. It's a great way to help your body digest the food you're eating, to see if is the cause of your bloating because you're eating too fast. A lot of people aren't really fully chewing their food, and then they're relying on lower levels of stomach acid to digest that food, unlock those nutrients, and absorb them into their body. And if you can think about it, if you are power feeding a meal while writing an email, taking a call, driving in your car, like most moms and dads do, which, I do that too sometimes, bringing on that type of a supplement can be really supportive. So now Superfood Enzymes is one of my favorites. I would start there. The next thing that I would do if that doesn't help mitigate the issue, take the supplement, chew longer, eat slower, and see how you feel. If that doesn't mitigate the issue, like I said, then you want to check into reasons why you may be bloating. If the bloating is really bad, I would get a test for small intestinal bacterial overgrowth. You could do a GI effects where you're looking at gut health. There are a number of gut tests you can get to look at if you look at the ecosystem of bacteria living inside of you and see if there's any type of dysbiosis that may be causing it. The other thing would be to look at common food allergies. So dairy, gluten, soy, nuts, those I would say are kind of the biggest offenders and things that we may pull back on and see, does the bloating go away? And if so, then introducing those one at a time every 3 to 7 days would be my recommendation, just to really know, if something is a culprit for that type of bloating. So that would be my recommendations for that.
Do you also cover portion control in your book or maybe your online sessions? I'm just wondering, along with sugar control and all the recipes that you provide, do you talk about portion control as well for people who are trying to be healthy and lose weight?
What I have found in 12 years of working with clients is that when we are eating whole foods and when we are eating protein, fat, fiber, and greens and getting our body what it needs, and to the previous question, digesting that food, absorbing that food, assimilating those nutrients, that our hunger is less severe and we feel full and satisfied between meals. What is the biggest problem I have with clients is under-eating the foods that satisfy you, that regulate hunger hormones, and that's protein, and really complete sources of protein, and understanding how much am I eating and what am I getting from that. A common misconception is that 2 eggs is going to get me from breakfast to lunch, and it may not. That's only 12 grams of protein. And if you, like me, are looking to hit 1 gram per pound of body mass, I am averaging 125 grams of protein a day, which means only 12 grams at breakfast requires me to eat a whole lot of protein at lunch and dinner, and that can be a little bit too much for me. So I really like to spread it out. I aim for 30 to 40 breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and more than ever before, I'm eating a good heavy dose of protein at breakfast. It's killing all cravings the rest of the day. I don't have late night eating. If I need to add a little protein-based snack, that might be Greek yogurt, a cottage cheese, leftover chicken, leftover steak, whatever is in my fridge. If I have to rely on something that's processed, I love the Maui Nui venison sticks. I love Jacob bars, which are the protein bar of choice in the Leveque house right now. Hard-boiled eggs. Those are sort of my go-tos. If I have leftovers in the fridge, that's where I go to first. If I'm at my house, I will make a Fab 4 smoothie, or even just blend my protein powder with a little bit of psyllium husk and some unsweetened coconut or almond milk. So those are great options. Now, in my book, I do talk about portion control using your hand. I'm not a really big fan of scales or majorly tracking your food in something like a MyFitnessPal or Chronometer unless we have a goal or you've never, ever, ever been in, I don't want to call it the diet space, but it's really what it is. If you've never really educated yourself in understanding like how much protein is in a chicken breast or how many calories are in a couple tablespoons of olive oil, having that data on board but not obsessing about it is important. So, but I love the hand. So when I think about protein, I think for protein about 1 to 2 of your palms. So think about the thickness and the circumference of your palm. When it comes to veggies, fiber and greens, I think 2 big fists to 4 fists. When it comes to fat and tablespoons of liquid fat, that's about the size of your thumb. When you think about things like avocado, you can think about the whole thumb coming down to the wrist and all the way back up to the tip of the thumb for kind of eyeballing serving sizes. But also you have to just trust your gut. If you haven't eaten all day, you're going to be really hungry. And sitting down to a small portion size of protein and veggies isn't going to do the trick. It doesn't do it for me. It's not going to do it for you. And so sit down, eat what your body needs. And sometimes for me, that's a 8-ounce steak and half the tray of roasted veggies that we've made for dinner. But if I'm on it, which is my goal is never to get to a place where I haven't eaten all day and I'm starving and I'm overeating at dinner, because it does require a lot of work from your body to metabolize all that and assimilate all that. It slows down to my digestion. I have fewer bowel movements. I feel more bloated. I don't want any of that. So the goal would be 3 meals a day and only snacking if I haven't really hit those protein goals. But if I hit those protein goals, guess what? I don't even feel like snacking, and that's the best part. So I do cover portion control in the book, generally using the hand technique, but I think we can really trust our gut. Like if you're eating whole foods and you're getting the nutrients your body is searching for, those essential amino acids and essential fatty acids, your body is going to stop eating when it's full. Like if I put a big pizza in front of you and I put a big fillet of salmon with like herbs or pesto or lemon on it, you're eating the salmon at a certain point, your body's going to be like, I'm good. And you're eating the pizza, there's like a dopamine party in your brain. You may not have that same ability to regulate food consumption just because it's off the charts delicious. And I get that. So that's the whole premise of the Fab Four, is that you get your body what it needs. You naturally stop eating when you feel full. You elongate your blood sugar curve. You don't have a high spike and a hard crash. It naturally allows for the slow release of glucose, where your blood sugar gradually goes up and gradually comes down. And you land at your next meal like, all right, what do I feel like? Not, I am so starving, I could eat whatever is in my pantry and my fridge. And if we're getting to that place in the day, that makes it really difficult to make the choices we want to make. And we just end up overeating or eating things we don't want to eat. So portion control does become easier when you eat whole foods until you're full. Think about that salmon fillet. It's a huge one. Let's say it's, over a foot long and you've made it in your oven, and a huge Pyrex with a bunch of cherry tomatoes and olive oil and garlic and shallot, and your whole kitchen smells amazing. You're having those bites and it's so delicious. But at a certain point you go like, I'm good. And I feel calm and I feel relaxed and I feel full and happy, not overly bloated, not overly full, just really relaxed and fueled and nourished way. And like that is the goal. And is every meal going to be like that? No. My hope is that you can come to my website and find super easy, family-friendly recipes that don't take a lot of ingredients, taste really delicious, and can be put together pretty easily. Because I'd much rather you get consistent in your kitchen and make changes for yourself and your family than jump on something short term that's not going to really teach you how to fuel and nourish yourself or tune into what your body really needs. So that's the long way to say your body will naturally portion control if you're eating the right things. And just be aware of what triggers you. So do I eat pizza? Absolutely. Shout out to a pizza doho in Dana Point. To Friday nights, when we don't have flag football, surfing with the boys, riding our bikes to the beach, getting a pizza and either their Italian chop or their Chinese chicken chop salad. And that makes us all really happy. Sunset's going down. I'm not, I'm relaxed. I'm happy. I'm enjoying that. And there isn't a world in which I would never, ever, ever eat pizza. But I also know that me sitting down to pizza is extra delicious and harder to portion control versus that salmon that I made at home with some roasted veggies. So don't be hard on yourself. Just focus on making more meals at home or having more of those types of meals on hand so you don't have to fight yourself. And those types of meals support blood sugar balance easily and naturally, which is so cool. And last but not least, this is never about being perfect. This is just like, hey, this is what's working for me and my clients. This is what I've seen. But you are in control of your life and you know what's right for you. So if you're feeling out of control with food, maybe ask yourself, am I tuning into what my body really needs? Am I eating enough? You might not be. All right, guys, that's today's solo episode. Thank you so much for joining me and for being here. These are fun. These remind me so much of my Body Love Everyday online sessions that I would have with 30 to 50 pretty faces on Zoom. I miss seeing the faces, but I love hearing from you. So please click the link below. Ask me a question. I want to ramble. I want to share answers. I want to give stories, but I just want to help you. And it makes me really happy. So I'm here for you. Thanks so much for being here, and let me know what you think.
Thank you for tuning in to this episode of the Be Well by Kelly Leveque podcast. If you enjoyed the show, please consider leaving a review in your favorite podcast app and subscribing on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or YouTube. We're also excited to share that full-length video episodes are now on YouTube and Spotify, so you can watch along as you listen. The best way to support me and the show is by sharing it with your friends and family. Your recommendations make all the difference. This is a Wellness Loud production produced by Drake Peterson. The video is recorded by Luke Rodriguez and edited by Jesse Trout. Sound mixing is by Mike Fry. See you next time.
The content of this show is for educational and informational purposes only. It is not a substitute for individual medical or mental health advice and does not constitute a provider-patient relationship. As always, talk to your doctor or healthcare team first. Shout out to the Newport Beach Pendry for hosting us. I'm so grateful to record in such a beautiful space that truly elevates the podcast experience for myself and my guests. From the stunning design to their incredible hospitality, it's a perfect setting for meaningful conversations and creative energy. Hey, thanks, Pendry.